Future belongs to creators. This is a show about the creator economy where we dive into the topics and issues that really matter to creators. Let's get started.
Hey, friends. Welcome to the Future Belongs to Creators podcast. I am Haley and here with my regular co-hosts, Charlie and Miguel. How is it going, friends?
Doing good.
Yeah, going good. I'm actually currently just tweeting that we're live. So if anyone wants to join us, just a little behind the scenes for everyone listening that we do record this live. And sometimes I tweet before it. Yeah, and sometimes I forget.
Well, if you're hearing this now on your podcast, you're too late. It's over.
Yeah, but you can join next week at 12:30 Eastern time. So just saying.
Somehow, even when we don't talk about Twitter, we somehow end up talking about Twitter. Just...
Well,
you don't want to know my have you heard? I'm just kidding.
No,
not this time. I did Twitter like 3 times in a row, so I like specifically made sure not to. So.
Good.
I love it. Well, why don't we kick us off? Miguel, you can kick us off with have you heard today then?
Yeah. Okay. So instead of Twitter, I talking about Instagram. So not a big leap. As far as that's concerned, but Instagram is working on a video reaction option for Reels. If that sounds familiar to you, it's because TikTok does this. And TikTok largely, like if you're not familiar what a reaction reel is somebody will like side by side play them reacting to another video. And these are really popular on TikTok. Usually if it's like something funny, or sometimes it's like, it can be something serious and somebody's reacting to like the words that someone says, like, and usually they do it not by talking over the video, but like there's like they'll show funny facial expressions, like someone says something crazy and then they'll like look shocked or whatever. It sounds really dumb when you explain it, but they're super freaking popular. And Instagram is jumping on the bandwagon. So we're all slowly racing towards becoming the same app, it sounds like.
That has been Instagram's MO from day one, though.
I mean, Reels themselves isn't their idea.
Yeah.
It's Snapchat.
But they, credit to them, they do it pretty well when they do make a copy. Like, I use Instagram stories way more than I ever used Snapchat, for example.
They just do it better.
Yeah.
And also,
we'll see for this one.
Well, there were, as a good lead in, there's reasons why Instagram is better at everything. And or reasons why creators prefer Instagram over all the other, since the Creator Economy Report kind of says that, right?
Spoiler alert.
Yeah,
that's today's topic.
Spoiler alert. Yes.
They actively like Instagram for a lot of things and they actively dislike Facebook for a lot of things, which is funny because it's the same company, but
yes. Meta, it's Meta.
Don't get me started.
Charlie, what's your have you heard?
Well, mine is also social media related, as they often are. This one's about TikTok. I don't know if you all saw that Halsey has spoken out about the pressure that her record company is putting on her, that they won't give her a release date for her album, I believe it is, unless she has like some way to create a viral moment about it on TikTok. Like they specifically want to line up an album release with going viral on TikTok because that is what's going to lead to sales. And so she shared about this, ironically, on TikTok. She made one with a song in the background about why her record label was making her do this, or like wanted her to do this. And a bunch of other artists have come forward about it as well and said that they are also hearing this pressure, that their record labels are just like all in on TikTok for marketing and requiring a lot from the artist. I don't know. It's just really interesting for me and kind of sad to think that this is the state of like published music, right? Like with a record label is that you have to have this. And essentially you have to be a creator, a content creator in order to be successful in music these days, it seems.
Yeah. Well, that to me is just, because we've talked about this before, but like they're removing the ability for creators to be creative because they're forcing them to be creative in an area they don't want to be creative in.
Yeah.
Like, is that the best, that's just like quite the mind F. I don't love that. My have you heard is a duplicate, but it's important. Not a duplicate of what y'all just said, but a duplicate of last week. For those of you who have not heard this or seen an email about it, we are hosting Craft and Commerce finally again after a 2-year break this year. We're hosting it
Woohoo.
on June 23rd through the 25th in Boise, Idaho. I am a Boise fangirl. I don't want everyone to move here, but I do want people to come visit here. So come join us, because I think even Miguel like really put the hammer down last week when he was talking about how wonderful of a conference it is and that he can attest to it. Charlie agreed that Boise was a wonderful city, but most importantly, the reason you should come is because it is a fantastic community of creators like you that are all looking to get better and to meet other creators like themselves. So, the internet can be a lonely place, and conferences, when done right, really allow us to all be together and kind of, grow the community that we need. So join us for Craft and Commerce 2022.
Please, it's conference.convertkit.com to get your tickets. And seriously, it is like a conferences like this, ones that are actually curated for creators and like designed to help you grow your business. I always find myself having these like aha moments at them that I like think back on years later, like at the last in-person Craft and Commerce that I was able to go to, hearing Rachel Rogers and talking about, making it to 7 figures and we can all be millionaires. That was a huge mindset shift for me. And I don't know if I would have gotten that without seeing her speak at the conference. So yeah. You're going to learn a lot this year from the great creators.
Also, I'll be teaching a breakout session there. So
there we go. Well, there's your reason. Forget mine. Go for Miguel's reason.
Yeah, forget what she said.
I will too. Me too. Come to mine.
Okay.
Not Miguel's.
Both
Come
of
to
you.
mine.
Yeah. We can try arrange the schedule so you're not competing.
Also, spoiler alert, Haley is not originally from Boise, so she moved there too. So a little bit of a hypocrite, but that's cool.
Oh yeah, haven't you heard? Haley's from LA.
It is.
Yeah, have you heard? She's from LA.
It's Boise. Okay, there's no Z in Boise. Okay, it's Boise. Okay, just you're gonna know. People will know you're not from here if you say Boise, and you don't want to upset the local Idaho.
Well, here's the thing. I know better, and I say Boise, and then my wife is like, "Why are you saying it like that?" So everybody outside of Boise says Boise. So you sound like an idiot if you say it right outside of there. So I'm just trying to not get yelled at by made fun of, because then it looks like I have a speech impediment when I say Boise. They're like, "Why are you talking like an idiot?" Like,
oh my gosh,
Boise.
This brings me so much happiness. So a few years ago, I was at an event, a concert event, and Matt Carney, who was later on Creator Sessions, and I told him this story and he totally remembered it and it was fantastic. But he said he came out on stage and he's like, "What's up, Boise?" And then everybody's like, "It's Boise." And then
was the crowd's response.
The crowd's response. And then he's like, "I said Boise." He's like, "I'm from Bend, Oregon. I know that it's Boise. That's what I said." And then there was this argumentative,
lost the audience at the very beginning.
Yes, it was so good. Anyways, let's move on to the bulk of today's topic. We are talking about the state of the creator economy report, which is something that we teased a little bit last week. It has also been something that our whole team, but Charlie specifically, has been working on for the last several months. It's been it's so beautifully designed, and I want to give it all the credit it deserves for that. But what is actually most important about this creator economy report is the contents of it. It is filled with so much unbelievable information and details about where we stand in the creator economy in 2022. It even talks about what is the creator economy. It breaks down all the different ways that creators are earning money, how they're earning their money, what type of content they're creating, what is their favorite place, where's their favorite place to create content. And so that is what we are going to dig in to today. So maybe Charlie, I'll have you give a quick overview of, outside of what I just said, is there anything that you wanted to add to that?
No, I think you summed it up well. I think that we wanted to do this research because, as well, the creator economy, that term, has been mostly used by VC companies, for investing in companies that are targeting creators. And I kind of felt like that that term and that like name for the space, the industry basically that we work within, was being co-opted from us, from creators. And so we wanted to focus on creators specifically. And that's what we're putting the creator back in the creator economy with this report and digging in on them. So that's my little pitch for that.
Awesome. Well, so as far as the format goes, each of us, there's so much stinking data in this report that it would be impossible to cover all of it. So we've each come prepared with some of our favorite or kind of most surprising like pieces of data or something that was just really interesting to us. And we're just going to have a chat. And then our goal or our hope is that it piques your interest enough to go download the report yourself. I think Charlie already threw that up on the screen. But
you can get the full report. We both clicked on the banner at the same time. You click it, Haley. You click it.
There we go. ConvertKit.com.
ConvertKit.com/report/creator economy in 2022. We'll put a link to it in the show notes.
Yeah. Well, Charlie, do you want to kick us off?
Sure, I would love to. So one thing that I found particularly fascinating and also like a little bit enraging, honestly, from the results of this report was that our data showed that there is a gender pay gap in the creator economy. This is something that I always like inherently felt was there. I just felt like it was probably the case, but that also, you can have hope, right? We had 2 women outnumbered men in the response to the survey, 2-1, but we found that men were more than twice as likely to earn over $150,000 a year, which was the highest income bracket that we had. I think it was 35% of men who responded earned over $100,000 per year, compared to just 19% of women. So there's a big gap there, in that the higher earners in the creator economy are more likely to be men. We've also broke this down into sponsorship income as well. Nearly 20% of men earn more than $5,000 a month from sponsorships, compared to 12% of women, which honestly really surprised me, because when I think of brand sponsorships, I do think of that women dominate the space in, Instagram content, lifestyle content. But clearly there's still something in there, and that men are able to command a higher income, or that brands just see men as more valuable, or I don't know what it is. We don't know the why behind this. We're just reporting on the data, but the gap exists. And so, we should all be aware of it.
I think the really interesting thing for me is that if you actually look at this graph, and if you do have the report or you are looking at it, it's on page 50, is that it looks like, it's a U shape. So in the beginning, the women make more money than the men. And then as it gets more expensive, you start to see that inverse. And then it just shoots up once you exceed 150,000. And and at an it's like what, 3.5 times, and it's crazy. But this was also slightly enraging to me, and I could not guess why, but I would have to imagine that it is has something to do with men not being afraid to ask for more money. Or ask for a certain amount of money, because sometimes, at least I feel like that is often something that I hear from several friends in the industry or things like that, is that it's not that they don't think they deserve it. It's that there's the fear of asking, where men have like this, well, all they can do is say no. So that's just kind of my thoughts around it, but it was not an easy one for me to stomach.
Yeah. Andrew called out as well in the chat that there could be like a difference in the types of content, like the category that women and men are in. But to me, that's still a problem if we're valuing women-focused content or products as less valuable than ones that focus on men. Like, it's still an issue. It's just a different reason for the issue.
Yeah. I didn't actually look into this specifically, but I want to say that it was coaches and entrepreneurs, or coaches that teach about entrepreneurship, right, are the ones that make the most money. Am I remembering this correctly?
Something like that. Yeah.
Did we have a breakdown of women versus men in those two categories, or no?
No, I mean, I could actually get that if we had prepared in advance, but that is not something I can get right now for you.
Yeah. But I
I'm
guess
not
my
that fast
point
in my
is that
spreadsheeting.
is that in traditional society, that is the argument, is that men typically have jobs, right, that are higher paying jobs than women do. And so that's why I was asking that, is that in this case, for coaches and entrepreneurship, or coaches who teach entrepreneurship, right, that is the highest paid creator type. And so I was curious if there was a breakdown for that reason, because then that would completely debunk that, right?
True.
True. Miguel, what do you got?
Well, to kind of piggyback off what you guys are talking about, also, I noticed that there was almost a 50-50 split in the amount of people who are doing or creators full-time and part-time. Like there's almost an even amount of people that do either or. With the rest of them being like hobbyists or whatever. And so you juxtapose that with the fact that the biggest chunk of people are within the range of like 31 to 60 years old. And then you're talking about women versus men. Those are the age range and the people who are doing things part-time. I would love to know, did we break up if part-time and full-time, or do we split that up between men and women? Because I imagine women also probably have less of an ability to do this full-time because of, this, like, historically and socially, they are the ones that are usually the people that are home, and they're the home, like they take care of the home. So they have a lot more to do when they're home. Men can tend to be able to focus more on their job, and then that can be their full focus, whereas women sort of have to juggle a lot. So I wonder if that also comes into play with that as well.
Yeah, was that broken up? I don't think I realized that if it was based off of the entire contents of all of the participants, or if it was broken up by full-time versus part-time.
On our site, it's overall. But if you want to talk amongst yourselves for a second, I can try and find that data.
Well, we can circle back to that once you figure it out.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the right spreadsheet.
But something I also wanted to point out that I found to answer your first question, Haley, which was, what stood out to me. I thought it was interesting that a lot of what people sell tend to be services and digital products, and less so are subscriptions and memberships. And what those things have in common is people tend to sell a lot of one-off things, and they don't tend to sell a lot of recurring revenue things, which are usually that's like the gold standard. If you can get some recurring revenue, then that gives you runway. That gives you the ability to think, okay, well, this is how much money I can guarantee that I have coming in, that I can look forward to having, as opposed to like, I need to constantly be launching something. I need to constantly be putting something out for it to suddenly generate a big pop in sales. It's kind of like the difference between having a salary and, like, if you're a real estate person, it's like you only make money if you sell a house. So if I sell 10 houses this month, it was a great month. Next month I sell no houses. Well, I better make sure I budget my time and my money for those lulls, because there's big boom and big bust periods, and that up and down can be scary when you're in business for yourself.
Yeah. That just makes me think of another insider that stood out to me, was that the highest income bracket folks did focus more on products than services, which sort of ties into what you're saying, Miguel, about the boom and bust. Like, if you're selling a digital product, that can sort of like sell itself and work for you. Whereas if you're selling a service, you kind of got to be there to act on it.
Yeah, you can set up systems in place to just have it be a recurring model where, you're constantly selling products, but when when it is you that you're selling, that becomes a top of the funnel, or not a top of the funnel, a bottleneck issue, obviously. Leading in, we kind of talked a little bit about this in the beginning. It was a little bit of a teaser, but I thought, sorry, you know what? I was like about to say, I thought this was interesting, but it's not, because I didn't think it was more that, sorry, not interesting. Surprising.
What a sell.
Surprising. On page 31, we were talking about the place that creators start their business is changing. 5 years ago, the blog was the common place for the creator launch pad. And in 2021, Instagram took its place. And I know we've talked about this several times on the podcast before, but for me, if I'm driving down the road and I see a business that I like and I'm like, oh, what is that? Do not go to Google, right? I immediately go to Instagram. And that is for physical brick and mortars. That is for creators that I follow. That is for like, if I hear about somebody's name that I'm interested in, the very first place that I use or I go to look for them or search for them is Instagram. And so this was not a surprise to me, but I'm curious what y'all thought.
Yeah, that shift really stood out to me as well. That, I mean, we talk about Instagram a lot in our Have You Heards, maybe less than we talk about Twitter, but obviously, like, we should be talking about it because it's clearly important to creators.
Yeah, it's funny. You see businesses. It was like originally you see a business and they're promoting themselves, whether it's like on a billboard or whatever. It was always like a phone number, and then eventually it was like a phone number and a website. It was the .com they would put it there, and then now more and more I'm seeing at whatever because for Instagram, like follow us on Instagram, come check us out on Instagram. So people don't even telling you to go to their website anymore. They're saying check us out on Instagram. Because I feel like with their website, it's like I'm coming to you to learn information. With Instagram, I can send things out to you even when you're not looking for it. You know what I mean? Like I can broadcast to you as opposed to it only being like a self-serve kind of a thing where I'm going to go interact with you and what you're offering because I happen to remember that I like you or I bookmarked you on my browser and I'm going to you. Now I follow you on Instagram and you put out a story and now it's, the content is knocking on my door instead of me going for it, which is really cool.
I ultimately see Instagram as a portfolio for creators is the way that I look at it. Right. And I think that's true for creators that own physical, brick and mortar stores or creators that are branding experts or creators that are designers, right? Like that's the place that you go to. And I think that's based off the way that Instagram was initially designed, right? Is that it was just photos, but it's just the feed. But really it's just a portfolio. And so I'm looking for kind of a branding expert, someone to help me with the logo for a new project that I'm starting right now. And when you actually click the link on her website for it's my work, it immediately takes you to Instagram. Like that's where she leads you to, which I think is great. But I think that if you can build an audience, that's one of the places. It's also ironic because that's one of the places that is most difficult to build an audience right now, right? The place that is probably the easiest to build an audience, maybe not easiest, but quickest rate is on TikTok. And we didn't see too much of that, at least here. Instagram
I was actually surprised about how little TikTok, did or like was mentioned as in terms of channels that people are using, especially for professional creators. I think it's like, 13% said they use TikTok compared to about 60% have an email list and an Instagram. So that was a reality check for me, I guess, because I saw TikTok as this thing that like has taken the industry by storm. And it's like, well, actually, though, like creators aren't fully prioritizing it yet.
One thing I was wondering too. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say maybe they just haven't figured out how to monetize it as easily. That time it'll come in time. Go ahead, Meg.
I was just wondering. Obviously, ConvertKit is first and foremost an email marketing company. That's what we always started as. So we've always pushed the importance of email. So I wondered how much of this data was skewed by the fact that people that took the time to do this was already kind of in the ConvertKit sphere of influence, and are people that have already on some level either bought into the email thing or at least have artists talk about it enough that they've given it some kind of importance. And that's maybe that skews it, because if TikTok were to do something like this, I would think the TikTok numbers would be a lot higher than the fact that we put it out. And that's
a great call out, Miguel. For sure. It's skewed by that because this survey was shared with our audience. It was shared outside our audience as well. But I believe a good 54%, I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, of people who responded do already use ConvertKit. So great point.
In fact, if you go to page 34 on the report, it says where full-time creators grew their audience in 2021, and email newsletter is actually tied alongside Instagram. And that's something that I, that's a perfect example of how this data is skewed, because I would not say that that is the case in the greater creator economy. I would say that email, it's like trending up, right? It's people realizing, why have rented real estate when you can own your real estate, kind of thing, and how email newsletters in the last year and a half have gained a ton of traction. But I definitely was really interested to see that. I thought that was really cool. It helps us for sure. ConvertKit.
Well, yeah, and also we see, like, if we can skip into one of my next points of things
Yeah.
that stood out to me was the importance of email, and how there was a correlation between creators who earn in high income brackets. They are most likely to send emails weekly, and they are also likely to value email above paid advertising, above social media for their business. And so I think there's definitely something to that. Let me pull some numbers here. Yeah, email came out on top, above social media and above paid advertising, for both full-time creators and part-time creators. But full-time creators rated it higher importance at 8.3 out of 10, and part-time creators had 7.7 out of 10. And yeah, weekly was the email schedule that creators who are earning more than 150K set themselves on.
Yeah. Nathan has talked about this actually several times, but when you talk about being a creator marketing platform, right, and where email fits alongside of that, how social media is the thing that allows you to grow your audience, right? It's like the reach, right? So something happens, you go viral, and all of a sudden, and I'm saying go viral as though that's an easy thing. Everybody knows that's not an easy thing.
Oh yeah, you just got to do it as an artist to launch your album.
Yeah, exactly. But social media is your casting, you're throwing out that really wide net, and then what you're trying to do is convert those the 50% of people that you find on social media. You're trying to convert those 50% of like your truest fans, right? Your biggest and best fans, and convert them from social media, as in casual followers, to your mega fans, which then become your email subscribers. And your email subscribers are going to be the ones that, if you sell product and services, are going to be more likely to buy. The percentage of and I don't actually remember if this was something that was in the report. This is just information that I have from being in the ConvertKit sphere for a long time, right? But it's we always say that it's social followers are worth 25 cents. Email subscribers are worth $1. So they're 4 times as more likely to buy your content than a casual social follower is.
Alejandro adds this from the art world: owning your collector's base is vital. The email is the best way to do that. So like Instagram and other social networks are a way to cast the net and like find people who might be interested, but you've got to own the way to contact them.
Yeah. Miguel, what do you got for us?
One thing I thought that was interesting was in 2021, the main goal of creators was growing your audience, and that's switched over in 2022 to the main goal being income growth. So you could see that in 2021, everybody was trying to grow their audience overall, and then eventually that switched over to more people in 2022 wanting to convert that audience and try to make some money. And that is a transition that we talk about a lot here, obviously. Is first you try to grow your audience, you try to give some kind of value as kind of like a hook for your audience to kind of see, okay, is this person worth my time? Should I keep coming back here? But eventually you want to try and convert those into subscribers that will pay you for what you do. I just thought that was interesting that, and I wonder how that coincides with, I think this report was talking about the elephant in the room being COVID-19, and how that saw a great rise in the amount of people who were becoming creators. And eventually you got to make some money, right? So it's just now that the pandemic was kind of more under control, I'm always hesitant to say that it's over, because Jesus,
it is absolutely not.
It is not. But it's just funny to see that people are starting to become more comfortable with doing what they need to do to make some money as a creator, as opposed to it just being, it's the same thing that big businesses do. Like Amazon was all about growth, not profit, because they see the light at the end of the tunnel is once we grow enough, profit will just happen. Well, it's funny that it's a similar thing when you're a creator.
Mm-hmm. One thing that I really liked from this report, and that I wanted to bring up on this call, because I feel like oftentimes as creators, we get stuck in that like analysis paralysis kind of stage, or we don't start selling the thing. And once we start selling the thing or doing the thing, then we always look back and say, I wish I would have started the thing sooner, right? I wish I would have done it sooner. Every conference that I've ever been to where someone's talking about email, they always say, I wish I would have started growing my email list sooner. Amy Porterfield being one that says that just so consistently. But on page 28 of the report, one of the things that I really loved as a call out was the idea, not even idea, the fact that you don't need a huge audience to make a living, and that the average email list size is actually 645 amongst the respondents. And so that I thought was a really interesting fact. And then we had several notes here from various different creators based off of their list size. Corey Haynes made $7,000 during a course launch to an email list with 300 subscribers. Samar earned $15,000 from a course with a few hundred subscribers. And it goes on, there's a few others on here as well. And it's just this idea that it's really about true fans, right? And if you can get those true fans on your email list, that's what you need. And so start sooner, start now. There's no better time than now.
Love that.
Charlie, I'm really excited to talk about the happiness levels by income.
Oh yeah, this was another one of my favorite things that I was like, honestly, kind of like looking for in the data. I was like, is this going to be true or not? Like, does money buy happiness? And so what our data has shown is that people in the highest income bracket of earning more than $150,000 a year did report a higher level of happiness than creators in lower income brackets. The difference wasn't huge. Like if I talk about overall, so across full-timers, part-timers, also hobbyists, the average happiness level was 6.6 out of 10. And I think the question we asked was like, how happy are you with your work as a creator? Yeah, something like that. And so 6.6 was the average overall, but for the 150,000 plus income bracket, it was 7.9. So quite a bit higher than the average. 7.9 was the same rating that full-time creators gave, although they had a higher overall average of 7.1. But something interesting that, like, as I mapped this out and started putting this data into a chart, just because the highest income bracket had the highest happiness level, it doesn't mean it was like a even step up along the way. That like we can say the more money you make, the happier you are. Because there was this interesting thing that occurred in the 100 to 150,000 income bracket. So like the second step down, where we would see it climbing. So like less than 25,000 had less than 25 to 50,000 and so on. But when you reach this 100 to 150,000, there was a dip. So for example, in like overall across all creators, 7.7 out of 10 was the rating that creators in the income bracket of 75 to 100,000 gave. And then it dipped down to 7.3 out of 10 for creators in this 100 to 150,000 bracket. And that was true across all of the creator types. And I don't know why. It seems odd to me that there was this dip that we just saw occurring. But I wonder if it could be that like once you pass that $100,000 mark, you're like, okay, I'm hungry for more now. And like my standards are higher for what my income should be, and I want to be earning more. I don't know. I'm definitely like putting context onto it in that way, but I could see that being true for the reason that creators in that bracket reported a lower level of happiness.
Yeah, more money, more problems, I believe.
Have you been waiting for me to shut up so that you could say that, Miguel?
I've been screaming in my head for 3 minutes. No, just kidding.
Oh, that just like really made me laugh. Another thing that I really liked from the report was the idea that there is a market for every topic. So we have the top 20 content topics overall, and this is where I had mentioned earlier: entrepreneurship, personal development, marketing, online business, art, small business, mental health, which is something that continued to pop up, career development, design, productivity, lifestyle design, faith, technology, and the list goes on. I was very surprised to see food and beverage actually and travel so low on the list, because in my mind,
Yeah.
those two, food and travel, are one of the, like, food bloggers. I feel like food blogging is huge, and same for travel blogging. But one of my favorite things about working at ConvertKit is when I am sharing with friends or family what I do, and they're super confused by the idea of what ConvertKit actually does, right? And we always, one of, like, example that I always provide is, I'm like, okay, what do you do? What's a skill that you have? And for my mom, for example, my mom is a pastry chef. So I'm like, imagine that if rather than going and working into a restaurant, you taught the internet how to be a better pastry chef, and you created courses, and I always try to use it in that skill set. But it's one of my favorite things, is learning about the different type of creators that we have that use our product. For example, we had a story that was told to us. Charlie, you weren't there, but we have a story about him that Isa and Henry are working on, about one of our creators, and I'm blanking on his name, Dave. I believe his name is Dave. He teaches people how to bird watch from their backyard. And who would have thought that somebody could earn, close to 7 figures teaching people how to bird watch from their backyard, right? Like, that is amazing to me. And I know that he probably fits into the category of teacher, right? Because he's educating people on a thing, but what he's educating them on is the most fascinating thing for me. And so there really is an opportunity for, the internet is a very big place, and people love to learn all sorts of, random things.
And just chiming in to say that the story is live. His name is Scott Keller, and you can read it. I put a link in the chat, and we'll put it in the show notes as well.
Dang it! I really thought it was Dave. I thought it was Dave. Dang it! Sorry, Scott.
Kind of on that same line of thinking is, I thought it was really interesting that full-time creators tended to focus more on businessy type of things. And I apologize for how sort of like what fluffy that word sounds, businessy, but and then more, I'll use an equally fluffy word, artsy creators tended to be more hobbyists and part-time people. And I just thought that was an interesting thing, is people that kind of tended to go all in as creators were teaching about things like entrepreneurship and personal development, career development, that kind of stuff. And then people who were, artists and painters and DIYers and stuff like that, kind of like sort of do it on the side. And I just think I love that. I love the how fascinating it is that the type of creator you are lends itself to how much, I don't know if it's people feel like that's how much they need to be successful at something like that, or that's how passionate they are about that. I mean, there's so many different reasons why you would spend more time over less time on something, but it's just interesting that most people were full-on entrepreneurs, but there were very few full-on DIYers or full-on artists. So
this one made me sad. Yeah, noticing this, how the top five content topics for full-time creators were all, like you said, businessy compared to hobbyists that had like art and design and crafts was in there, that made it like into the top 5. And I don't think it's because those things, like, that you can't be a full-time creator and make content about those things, but it's like, I don't know, do creators feel like in order to be a full-time creator, in order to be a professional, they have to go down the route of the development, entrepreneurship, teaching, marketing, that sort of thing? I don't know. I don't want that to be the case. And I feel like it's my personal mission with the work we're doing here at ConvertKit and what I do on the brand team to change these results in future years so that we see more people who are like having cool artsy topics but they're doing it also full time. I don't know,
I
just a little
think
personal mission.
I think it's about the way that they monetize their business, because I have several friends, right? Mandy from Happy Houseplant, for example. And this is actually not a piece of data that came from this particular report, but I was talking with Derek, our director of marketing, about this the other day, is that there was a report that I was reading that was saying that in 10 years, did I bring this up last week? I can't remember now. That in 10 years, 50% of creators don't think that they will continue, they will still be creating content. I know. It was pretty shocking to me, quite honestly. And one of the ways that this conversation kind of moved on with Derek and I is that I was saying a lot of creators, Mandy from Happy Houseplant being one of them, she was, had a DIY blog for, 10, 15 years. She was one of the very early bloggers. And then she migrated her business model to where she's still teaching content, teaching how to take care of plants, but she really transitioned her business into a product line. And I've seen a lot of creators do that. She referenced on the episode where we hosted her with Jenny Commenda, who is also a design blogger. And she created Juniper Print Shop, right? Where she sells her digital product, or they're either digital or physical, one or the other. But the reason why I see that is because it's coaches that are talking about entrepreneurship. They're selling really high ticket items, right? They're selling courses for thousands of dollars. Whereas if you're a DIY blogger, you are relying on traffic from like AdSense or from ads, or you're relying on sponsorships. And that requires a different skill set. And also it's just a totally different monetization method when you're comparing the two different types of creators. And so that's like, at least that's how I interpret that. I wasn't surprised by that. I wish I knew the answer on how to solve that.
Yeah.
But
well, I think it's honestly about just like showing the creative artist types the monetization options available to them, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't have to teach people marketing to be able to earn a living as a creator and be a full-time creator. There is options out there, and I think that we just need to do a better job of educating creators on what that could be and like opening their eyes to it,
Yeah. All right, friends. Well, I know we could talk about this for hours because there is 70
something pages of results.
70 pages of results, but we don't want to give away all of the goodness. So I would really encourage you, if you have not, go download the Creator Economy Report. Again, I threw up the URL here if you are watching. If not, it is in the show notes. But go take a look and let us know in the comments of this if there was a particular piece of data or a statistic that just really shocked you, blew your mind, or you were just particularly inspired by, or also enraged by, like the pay gap, like Charlie and I are feeling. As far as listener shout outs, we did not have any requests or submissions last week. So I am going to pat myself on the back and shout myself out because I have been feeling very creative lately, and there are two things that I did recently. I did a branding photo shoot for a friend, and I've been editing the photos, and they look fucking awesome. So I'm very excited. I'm going to be delivering them to her next week. She has a real estate business. And again, I just do this for fun because I really love it. But since everybody has been on this journey, and I'll just share it now, eventually I'll get the details out, but since everyone has heard, if you're a regular listener, I launched Happy Houseplant with my friend Mandy a few years back prior to COVID happening. And then I ended up having to step back just because of personal family reasons and the timing not being right. And my good friend Aaron and I are diving into a new project right now. And I just am in like a really good, healthy space. But the reason why I'm really excited about this is because it's a very similar business model to Happy Houseplant. And so I'm feeling like really prepared and like I'm ready to go all in. And that quite honestly, that I have the time and energy to do it, and that my family has the capacity to allow me to do it. So I'm really excited about that. It's a step. And, I need to scratch that itch again. And so I'll share eventually. what
I know. I'm like, we need to make a whole episode about this, about the like you kicking it off, picking an idea. Like I'm just writing down topic ideas right now.
oh, fantastic. It'll be fun. And then up next week, Charlie, I believe you are the host, right?
No, I think it's
It's
Miguel next week.
Oh gosh. Okay. Well, Miguel, do you want to talk about
you were yeah, you were I don't think you're even going to be here next week, are you, Charlie?
I'm
Or am I
here
wrong
next
about
week.
that? Oh, okay. No, you're taking some kind of leave.
I mean,
at some
unless
point,
you
so-
want me to not be here. I mean,
No. I thought you were taking leave at some point, but I guess that's like a
Yeah,
month from
I'll
now
be
or
off in
something.
June. We don't have to worry people
Okay.
about it right now. Don't
Okay,
panic.
don't worry, everyone. So I will be talking about how to budget as a creator, and kind of specifically like how much money should you invest in a side hustle.
Timely for Haley, actually. Then
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So we will
I
be
like it.
diving into that next week, and yeah, looking forward to it.
Looking forward to it.
I know. All right, friends. We will see you next week. Have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday and bye.
Bye.